15 minutes drive north from Omiya Bonsai Garden, there is a bonsai garden owned by Masahiko Kimura. Bonsai of each part shows and expresses the word of Mr. Kimura. Wiring all these dreams that he has to express what he wants to express with each branch. He can express it with one wire. Mr. Yasuhiro Matsunaga, under training for 14 years, Mr. Takeo Kawabe for 11 years, and number one first apprentice Kazuo Yajima, 16 years. Mr. Kimura worked at Tojuren for 11 years and then became independent after that, and then has been brushing up his skills after that. The people in his town call him the magician of bonsai. The way he organizes his tools and put them away, you can see how he puts his ideas in order to be organized and tidy in his work. Let's see Mr. Kimura's wiring technique using this goyomatsu, the white pine, the Japanese white pine. This was growing in Fukushima. This was collected from the mountains. It's probably 60 to 70 years old, and it's been 20 years or more in the pot. It has a beautiful, nice trunk and dead wood on trunk. It is very rare to find a tree like this because any trees collected directly from the mountains have been very rare. This is the root part of the front of this tree. So the design or the pattern of the trunk is very ordinary, and we cannot see anything unique on the trunk pattern. And then the bad thing, unfortunate thing, is that there's this big swollen part that looks kind of like a snake. Snake swollen a frog, and it doesn't look great as a total proportion. So you cannot use this side as the front. Let's see, this is a right side front. Then this is tilted to the right side, because you can see the really nice pattern on the trunk. Why didn't they choose this side as the front? So there are 3 branches lined up right here, and then they have to be the front branches, all of them. So that's why they couldn't choose this side as the front, because then the tree looks like it's hunching forward, tilted forward. So we have to find the new front side regardless of what used to be the front. Even with some minor faults, we have to find the best front view considering all these conditions. We have to find what's unique about this tree. We have to discuss and examine from all 360 degrees of it. We also noticed that you also notice that the tree shape will appear very differently depending on what angle you put the tree in the pot. So you can tilt the whole thing and then see how the tree appears. So these 2 wires, he's thinking about the new front. So this is the new front. You can see this swollen part here because the deadwood skin on the trunk is interrupted in the middle and then continues again to the top of the tree. So this happened because the nutrients coming down from the top of the tree was disrupted here and then started again towards the end or near the root. So you can see that from this angle. This is the new front. We're going to show how to do the pruning. The lower branch is too low. This is the lowest branch. And the next one is cut off. This was the branch, behind branch viewing in relation to the old front. That was the third branch from the bottom. This is the head of the tree. From the old front side, the whole head part was flowing too much to the left side. Just by pruning these branches, this tree now has a nice rhythm. It doesn't look overgrown anymore. Pruning starts from the very bottom branch of the tree. And then you do that in order, and you slowly move up towards the head of the tree. The shady or the skin of the trunk comes up from the roots and then it stops in the middle, and then after a little gap it starts again. I'm trying to connect these two patterns or skins together. Connect the bottom part and the top part together, and then solve the swollen part in the middle. I'm taking the swollen parts away. Most of my skills are applied from other areas. So I'm using tools or skills from other different areas, but I always practice really well, so I know how to use these tools and how to apply these skills before I apply these skills or tools onto my bonsai trees. It takes a long time to acquire these skills. Let's move on to wiring. So the dynamic movement of the head, we would like to rise the head part a little bit higher. I'm putting this wood piece here. Can you guess why I'm doing this? Because this branch is very thin. If you pull it too hard, it might break. But there's no place to pull this. I have to use this. So I have to pull this lower so it doesn't break. So the angle between the branch and the pulled wire needs to be about 45 degrees. That's a good angle. But I can only take 15 degrees, it's too narrow. And then there's not too much effect on using the wire here. So I put this wooden piece in here to have wider angle here. So from 15 degrees to 45 degrees by using this wooden piece in order to strengthen the force or the effect of using the wire. This is how to put the wire on the first branch. This is number 10 wire. This is how you do it. Please look at the root of this branch. I'm putting it from below. If you want to lower branches, you usually put wires from the top, wrap it from the top. But this is coming from the bottom of the branch. So like this, by pulling it, we would like to lower the shoulder of this branch significantly. And then the branch tip should be raised, and then the whole branch looks more dynamic with more movement. I'm putting number 12 wire. So at the shoulder, you lower the shoulder and then wrap it. And then place the branch with your palm. Please look carefully how I use my hands. Now the head part. I would like to make it into gunjin. So I'm pruning some of the unnecessary branches here. I'm going to leave the root part or the shoulder part of this branch. And then I'm gonna make it into, I'm curving it so it looks like it happened naturally in the nature on the big tree. So this is after all the unnecessary branches pruned. With rough wiring, all the major branches positioning is now set. How can we make a posture for the top head part? So this tree is a moyogi. So we want to have a movement or pattern all the way to the top. So let's see if we can make some curves and movements here. This is wire number 8. So now we fixed all the big major branches and wired them. I prepared another tree just to show you more about wiring.
な枝の静止、針金掛けは終わりましたが、針金掛けのすべてを理解していただくために別な木を用意しました。
This is Nasu Japanese white pine. It has a very good leaf
御用松です。
characteristics.
俗にナスの立ち小と言われる木で、とても良い葉性をしています。
Tachio is said that it has very hard to have a skin or trunk skin.
立ち小は
But with this one, you can see the skin of the trunk, and you can feel the oldness of this tree, and this tree has a lot of leaves.
枝をたくさんかけています。
If you leave it like this, all these branches and leaves come out more and more, and then some of the inward branches are going to die as well. The first branch here is too low, so I'm going to prune it. And then I would like to thin it to somewhere about half of what it used to have. This is an orthodox tree, so you can do pruning just like you would see in a bonsai textbook. You can prune all the branches, right and left and the back, one by one in order. And as you go closer to the top of the tree, the gap between the branches should be narrower. So we pruned this tree when it was younger, but then after that, looks like it's been left. So with a tree like this many branches and leaves, you have to really tidy up the leaves and branches as they grow. So I will show you the professional wiring technique here in detail. So if this is away from all the branches, independent and individual, I'm going to put number 8 wire here on the lowest branch. Sometimes if there's another branch similar at similar size nearby, then you will want to connect these two. But because this is a lone branch, I will show you the technique how to do that with only one independent branch. When you use wire to lower a branch, you have to lower the shoulder and then raise the rest of the branch. So we use the other branch behind the trunk as a hook. So after you finish wiring the main branch, you have to cut off the end that you hooked on the other branch. So you cut this like this using a tool and then twist it to go around the shoulder of the branch. Next one, when you want to pull a branch to the behind of the trunk. So now I'm using wire 10, number 10 wire. This branch again is a solo lone branch. So now we're using the bigger branch that we just wired. So this time I'm twisting the branch as I wire. Please look at my hands how I'm doing it. So this is the branch of the branch that I had used, number 8 branch. So this one, it's not good because this is kannuki branch. Usually you have to take one or the other taken out. But if I take the right one, there's too much gap. What about left one? There's gonna be too much gap again. So I'm going to put the left one forward and then using the little branch to hide where it's coming from. So from the front side, you have to somehow handle these kannuki branch. So you can't really feel it when you're looking at it from the front. So from exactly the same, this is the case where there's 2 branches coming out from almost exactly the same location. Then you have to pull them apart using the wire. So using the same wire, you have to lower the shoulders, putting them apart, and then wire onto the thickest branch. And then the tip of the branch should go up. So the shoulders of these branches is holding all the weights. So these 2 branches, how do we wire branches that are in a different height? So we have to let the wire go through behind the trunk. Lower the shoulders again, and then spread the branches, and then put the tips up. I finished wiring all the major branches. please look at this. There's no wires going across the front side of the trunk. You put them through behind the trunk, so you can't see them crossing the front side of the tree. And then by doing that, you can have a graceful looking tree. Now I'm going to show you how to prune these small twigs. How do we do this? So these little twigs need to look sort of like need to be spread as a shape of a fan, handheld fan. So if we have extra coming up or down, not to the horizontal direction, then you have to prune them. Look at this one. So the amount of small twigs to small branches on the left side and the right side are not balanced. So I'm going to use the wire to have the same amount of branches on both sides. This is number 12 wire. How do we choose the right wire for the right thickness of a branch? I'm using number 18. So usually you have to use both hands to do wiring, but just this time I'm doing this with one hand so you can see on this video. When you put number 18 wire, when you do that, you have to be imagining and calculating where should number 20 wires go. So the 18 stops here. This 18 stops here. And then after this, we are going to use number 12, and we have to even number of branches to have number 20 wires. Number 20 wire. So if you put 18, then this is going to be independent. This is 18, it stops right here. To have this one for 20, this one for 21. So all these branches need to be paired up, or even number. I'm putting number 20 wire. And the next is number 21 wire. When you do the very tip of a twig here, please be careful not to wire put the wire over the leaves. So only wrap it only once. So now you can see a very beautiful, graceful looking branch, and all the branches can now get the exposure to the sun and ventilation or airing. So it's not just the purpose of a appearance, but it's really important to do wiring and pruning so that the plants can grow really well. And the wire tip should be should be kind of loose, so it's easier to unwire. only with wiring technique. Now it looks like a totally different bonsai. So this is the first white pine we show. Let's organize and tidy up little branches now. Let's look at the tip of the little twigs here. So there's a little joint here. So the front of the joint is from last year, and then below that is 2 years ago, last year, and then anything else below that is from 2 years ago. So for this tree, have leaves from the past 3 years. So we have to pull all the leaves off from 3 years ago. You can pull them off easily. And the second leaves from 2 years ago, you cut the leaves with scissors. But as long as you leave the bottom part sheath, I think, then you won't kill the branch. So you have to do that before you put the wires on. This is number 20 wire. So this tree is different from Nasu white pine. It has less leaves, so we want to use all the leaves, as many leaves as possible. Okay, this is the important part. If you continue wrapping the wire, then this branch goes downward. So you have to twist it and then wire. By doing this, the branches growing downward can be used as a side branch, and you can eliminate unnecessary gap. And then put all the tips up, so it looks nice and graceful. Now it's time for repotting.
それでは植え替えにかかりましょう。
Seems like the repotting last time was done very nicely, and the condition of the roots are pretty good. Now I'm taking the soil out from the roots because I would like to show the roots, this part, top of the roots here. With a high potting position. So Gunjin type, the soldier type tree, I chose a shallow pot. When you're changing the potting angle, you have to use a weight to see the horizontal location or the position. With that technique, you don't have to have a mistakenly wrong angle to put the tree. So first at the bottom, we have a larger grain, and then after that we put culture soil. Akadama 3, Hyuga 3, Kiryu 3, and Fuji sand 1. So with this proportion, it drains really well. If you can only water once a day in the summer, you have to put more akadama. You put the tree in and then push it really hard, so the grain and the soil and the roots, they're blended together. You cannot put this tree in place only with culture soil. So you have to have a aluminum wire that comes through the bottom of the pot and then tie it to the tree or the roots to stabilize the position. And you have to use your fingers and hands and then push the soil, cultivate culture soil into all the gaps and spaces between the pot and the roots. And then you have to push it firmly, very firmly. Push the soil very firmly down into the pot around the roots. And then, in order to prevent the soil to flood out when you water the tree, I'm going to put some moss on top. on the surface. And after you repot a tree, water them, give them plenty of water, and then wash off all the excess soil. So this is all the work, all the procedure is done now. Front side. This is from the right side. Left side. Back side. This is after one summer. This is how the tree looks like. This is Japanese white pine from Shikoku. The oldness, the great leaves, and the shape of the tree, and the maintenance is perfect. By simple wiring, you can create a gracefully looking bonsai just like this.